All right, guys, we are live. Hello, everybody. My name is Tisha, and you are tuning into Casual Convo Friday, and we are missing a part of the tribe. Nathan Flood, we miss you. I know you're on your trips for your work, but lucky for me, I got G-Rog. I got Gary from Florida sitting in with me as my special co-host, and we of course have Jean Ginzburg out of Colorado as our hot seat guest today. And if you are struggling, if you're really struggling with social media, this is the place to be, because Jean is unpacking all those nuggets of wisdom on how to create your social media content. I know a lot of people that get hung up on that. So Jean, thank you for being here with us today on Casual Convo Friday.
Thank you. This is an honor. I'm very excited to be here and to be chatting with both of you today. So yeah, this is great. And I love my topic of conversation is always digital and social. So I love getting deep into that kind of stuff and hopefully adding value to everyone who is watching. So if you guys have questions, feel free to add them in and we'll get to those questions too. So this is super exciting.
Yeah, and just on that note, so we do have the comment chat box open. So yes, if you have a question, or if you're just like, hey guys, just want to drop in and say, hey, tell us where you're from, tell us you're here, so we can personally say hello back to you. And then we'll be answering those questions real time. But if you are catching the replay, then we all will be going back in after this and just also connecting with you and responding to those questions. So no question is off limits. We want you to ask those questions because this is hard. In fact, I just did a convo in my Camry that I'll release a little bit later, Jean. But I just wanted to start off with, I was talking to a woman doing Instagram, and she's like, I get paralysis analysis every time I have to post on Instagram because it's not perfect. It's not the right filter. It doesn't fit in with the grid. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you were trying way too hard at this stuff. So we're going to be talking a lot about that today, but I'm going to hand it over to Gary over here with our first question. Gary, all right. Take it away.
Awesome. And before I say that, Jean, we are really excited to have you. And I love digging into your background and your past and your website and your messages and your lots of videos. Like, you got lots of traction, and I'm excited. But I also want to say, have a shout out to Nate. Nate, I hopefully am going to do you good today by being your replacement, because you have some amazing questions, Nate. Every week you have amazing questions. So hopefully I can fulfill, what you've brought to the table with Tisha. So anyway, Jean, first question, I don't know if this is an amazing question or not. It's kind of a basic one, but content. Why create content?
I get that question asked a lot. And, a lot of businesses are not creating content. So this is content, right? Like, we're doing a live right now.
Content.
Content. Yeah. This is an example of content. And by doing something like this, you are reaching your audiences. You're starting a conversation. You're asking them questions. They're asking you questions. I mean, this is basically, you're just starting a conversation with your audiences who might be interested in your message, who might be interested in your services down the line. So this is the reason why you create content. This is exactly like this. What we're doing now is exactly why you would want to create content. For anybody who's watching, and if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, since COVID started, we've had to all move online, and we have all now hanging out on our phones and our computers like we are doing right now. And so this is where users are. They're on their social media devices. They're on their devices. So this is the time to start creating content if you haven't already. It could be this live. It could be creating videos. It could be podcasts, articles, blog posts. I mean, there's many different types of content out there. So it just depends on what you want to do and what you're good at. Some people shy away from video, and I'm like, great, and that's not a problem. If you don't want to do video, maybe you're better at writing. I'm terrible at writing, so I prefer to do videos and podcasts.
I do too.
And I like to talk a lot. I talk all day. I was actually talking to someone yesterday who I met. So my company made the Inc. 5000 list, and I've been reaching out to a few of the Inc. 5000 people on the list and just making connections and I'm like, I talk all day because I have literally meetings from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day on Zoom. And he's like, I don't really talk, at all. And his business is like electronics. And he's like, I usually just, I'm not talking all and pretty much any time of the day. And I'm like, I talk all day long. So I like to talk. And that's my little like spiel, I guess, is that's my, how I like to create content.
Jean, so light talking. So, what do you think about, you got video, you got messages. What are your thoughts on, you talked about, hey, if you want to do video, that's great. But what have you seen with the difference between just doing a video or doing that same content by just typing it out? Is there a difference with that?
Good question.
So in my opinion, I think if you could do it all, you should. I try to do as much as all of the mediums. Is there a difference? It depends on how your audience like to consume content. Some people like to watch videos, and some people like to read. I can give you a really good example. I have a client, and she's an immigration attorney, and she mostly. Her community is mostly people from Mexico, and so they don't really like to read. They like to watch videos like this. We don't really do any blog posts for her because that community they like to watch videos. They like TikToks. They like Facebook. But I have another client who's also an attorney, and her community is attorneys. So she works with other attorneys, and they love to read. They don't like to watch videos as much, and they love to read. So it just depends on your community and what they like to do. So it's I as Gary Vee says, like he does everything, and so I try to do as much as like everything in terms of like I do videos and podcasts and blogs and articles and social media posts, because it depends on what who you are, and maybe you like to consume content in different ways. I like to address it all, so I like to be everywhere. But maybe some of you just like to write, and that's perfectly fine too. And you can write blog posts and articles.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I really try to switch it up. Like yesterday, I've never been really one that just writes text posts without an image. But yesterday I just did one because I was feeling it. I was sharing with you before that yesterday I was like rejected and got an opportunity all within the same hour. I was like, oh, okay, brush it off. Oh, wow, okay, here's an opportunity. So I wanted to share that. And the easiest way for me to do it was just to write it. Write it, and then, okay, this is when you get back up. This is how you become resilient. And you just say, don't sweat the small stuff. Like, you're not going to win every opportunity. And that post is actually generating a lot of views and comments and so on. So it's like, you never know. So it's really good. I like what you're saying, Jean, of you kind of have to experiment too and see what people are gravitating toward and the types of content that you're posting. Because I do a lot of video, but I also do a lot of writing.
Yeah. It just depends also, on your community and how you want to present your whatever the medium that you like most.
Right.
So that's a good point.
That's great. Yeah. That's great, Jean. And this, I don't know if this is an amazing question, but this is kind of a basic question, but I think it's important for the audience. And
Gary, they're all amazing questions.
I hope, because it took me some time to come up with this one, Nate, if you're listening. Social media. I mean, we think it's important. I think it's important, but like, why is it important? What do you think about that?
Well, as I was saying a little bit earlier, especially with the changes that we've had over the last 6 or 7 months, social media is important is because everybody's hanging out on social media now because we have no place to go and we can't go
we're all
outside
stuck
as much, and we're all trapped in our homes and locked down. Maybe a little bit less now, but we were for several months for sure. So yes, now even more so. Like before, people were on social media, but now even more so, people are on social media. So how do you start a conversation with them? You find where they're hanging out. Where are they hanging out? They're probably hanging out on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube.
So Jean, do you think with the way things are going now, are you finding it to be more efficient almost to do business because you can be at your home, you can talk to people around the world? Do you find that being more efficient with what's happened lately?
I mean, in my opinion and my experience, yes, because, but my business has been remote since the beginning of time. So I started my business almost 8 years ago, have always had a remote team, have always been remote myself. And that way I can travel and do, what I want to do, not maybe in the last 6 months or so, but before that. So to me, it's like, I knew this was going in that direction. I think COVID just accelerated it much more quickly. but it was all going in that direction because that's kind of how we are. We're like moving in that direction where we're all being remote and we're all doing it from our homes and we're all want that kind of lifestyle. Not all of us, but a lot of us want that kind of lifestyle. So to me, nothing has really changed, but that just depends, I guess, on your business.
I will say something that I like what you said too, Jean, about, COVID just really accelerated it. And I think that it really taught us that there's possibility in this. If we think that we're down and out, no, it's about adapting and going with what we're in right now. So how do you start taking your business into more of a digital medium and having more of an online presence? And just before in the green room, we were talking about speaking engagements and how we're like, we miss the live speaking engagements. Like, I miss live speaking engagements. But I understand too that I have so many more opportunities to reach a diverse audience because it's virtual and not just the 100 people or the 50 people that showed up to the event.
Absolutely. I mean, and we were talking about this before we went live, is all of us met each other through LinkedIn. We all met each other virtually, and we probably wouldn't have necessarily met each other that way unless we were all on social media and on LinkedIn. Tisha, I met you through LinkedIn. You met Gary through LinkedIn. So all of us met through LinkedIn. And then today I met Gary through our conversation, I guess. And it's still like through social media, I guess, originally, right?
But we look at it as, what was the root cause? Well, LinkedIn. LinkedIn. Yes, of course.
The common thread of LinkedIn.
The common thread of LinkedIn. I met my accountability partner through LinkedIn, and it's just as you were sharing, Jean, that this is a really great way for people to get the conversation started. And ultimately, it's going to happen because of a post that you wrote or they wrote. That's really it. That's really the secret sauce here. It's you posted something, you got on social media, and you started to engage, which then led to the next step and then the next step.
Yeah, so, and it's exactly how we ended up here. Tisha, you and I was following you on LinkedIn. I saw your post, and then I reached out to you via Messenger, and I was like, would you like to be a guest on my podcast? And you were or maybe I asked you about your podcast, I think. Something about a podcast. And you were like, well, I have a podcast, but it's more for local people. But I have this thing called, Casual Convo Fridays. Would you like to be on it? And I was like, great. Yes. Fantastic. That's how we got connected. And that's how we're here now.
It's so simple. It's so simple. And people think it's hard. It's like, no, you don't understand. There's so many opportunities. I will say, just in this COVID, this time in quarantine, I've probably been on about 30 live streams and podcasts just within this time frame.
Yeah, I think same or more for me. Yeah, something along those lines. I mean, it's and then doing my own live streams and podcasts, and then connecting and collaborating with other people. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, because that's all you do now, right? Because you can't do speaking engagements, and you can't do a lot of physical things and in-person things or in-person meetings. So. Yeah. So now it's all online. It's all this creating content online.
Creating content online. Gary, another question? You have another question for Jean?
Yeah, it's interesting. So you just can't, what you're saying is you just can't sit back and rely on the picture of your face and the about summary. Hey, I'm an interesting guy. Connect with me. I mean, you can't rely on that. You can't just sit there and do nothing. You've got to, like you guys were both saying, you got to create content and you got to put it out there. And whether people like it or comment, they're getting to know you a little bit better that way. So talking about content, what types of content should I create? What should people create? What are your thoughts on, content creation?
Absolutely. So all of it. So like this live, I would start doing lives. A lot of my clients have built their businesses on lives, on Facebook lives, on LinkedIn lives, Instagram lives, and that has brought a lot of customers for them. So for me, for my business, and just for my clients, seeing the kind of the evolution of that, lives are a great way to bring people in and start the conversation. But besides that, videos, and I also do a lot with repurposing content. So one of the challenges that entrepreneurs and clients come to me about is, hey, I don't have the time to create content. They say that very often, and they're like, well, I'm running a business, how do I create content? So I was just on Tea with Gary Vee I don't know, a couple months ago, and we started talking about that, about social media and creating content. And he's like, well, now it's really the price of doing business now. It's like you do you keep your books, you have, operations and processes in your business. That's part of doing business. Same thing with creating content now. It's no longer like, should I create content? It's like, how often should I create content and post it to my social media? So what kind of content? Whichever one you're comfortable with, but I would do everything: lives, videos, and then repurposing. In terms of repurposing, I do that a lot with my business, my clients' businesses, where we take a video, we chop it up into small pieces, like 1 or 2 minutes long, to kind of start a conversation and have a top of the funnel video. We make that into a podcast episode. So I've taken a lot of my lives in the past and just download the MP3 file and make it into a podcast. So another piece of content, transcribing your video using a rev.com or some other platform like that, and then making that into a blog post, using quotes out of that blog post and making that into social media snippets, or my team creates little quote images that we post on social media. So tons of content on how you can repurpose from just one video. So if we were to take this 30-minute video, we can probably create hundreds of pieces of content just out of what we were talking about today.
So Jean, okay, this is really interesting. And, I've got this question, and this is one of those Nate questions, like, I don't know who gave this to me, but it's not online. Through some of my contacts, they were talking about this guy. I don't know if you're familiar with Colonel Sanders.
Like the chicken
guy. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. So Colonel Sanders, he had this secret recipe with his herbs and spices, right? He had this secret recipe. And I'll bet you there's a lot of people out there that are wondering if you have some sort of secret recipe when it comes to content, sharing content, how many times you share the content. Like, what is it? You add this, you do this so many times. Like, do you have a secret recipe, Jean?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a secret recipe. None of this stuff is really revolutionary. It's just more about consistency. I think the secret recipe is actually consistency. That's the secret. Yeah. What happens very often is entrepreneurs start posting content, and then they get busy and they're like, I haven't posted anything in 2 months. And then the conversation falls off. So what is the secret sauce? It's consistency. It's doing it every day. That's the secret sauce.
I want to share that too, because I know a lot of people on LinkedIn that you see it in their headline. They're like 20,000 followers. And then you go and look at their activity and it's one person that liked their stuff or nobody. And you look at the activity and you're right, there's such gaps between what they're posting. And I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If I had 100 followers or 20,000, if I'm consistent, I'm constantly talking to those people and engaging with them. And they expect it. So I think too, that it's setting the expectation. We talk about, here's another secret, Gary, about creating binge-worthy content. So people come to expect that from you. So Gary knows I do these whole Convo in my Camrys, Jean, every Friday. In fact, I just recorded the one for today and I'll post it later. But I had someone come to me and they said, I know when it's the weekend because your Convo in your Camry comes out about 4:00 every time on Friday, that I'm ready. Like I look for it. I look for that post to then start the weekend. And I was so just taken aback and honored by that because I'm like, now I know why I do it every Friday. Now I know because you are watching it. So
absolutely.
Consistency. I love that, Jean and Tisha. And I'll tell you what, Tisha, I see you consistently. You're on, you're posting, you're doing your Convo in your Camry, you're doing your thing. And Jean, I don't know you that well, but you are right about that. Whatever you're saying, you're actually doing. And I know that because I had to get Nate to like dig in a little bit to your past. He kind of works for me on the side. Tisha, you didn't know that, but
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I said, Nate, since I'm going to be your guest, can you help me out? Can you dig into Jean's stuff and find out, is she posting every day? He's like, oh my goodness, Gary. Wow. She's posting on Facebook, on LinkedIn. It's like, man, I see like 4 times yesterday, 4 times the day before, it seems like 4 is a part of your secret recipe. You don't want to tell us all your secrets. Hopefully it's okay by me sharing 4. Seems like that might be a good number for you, Jean.
Yeah, and actually that is true for except for LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, I do post 4 times per day. That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
For
Nate did an
LinkedIn,
That's
excellent job.
dedication.
that is. And for LinkedIn, I post typically once a day,
Mhm.
just because I'm still doing trying to figure out, my audiences and trying to figure out what's the best time to post and how often and how many times per day. So that I'm doing a little bit of testing there.
I want to share a strategy that I keep hearing on LinkedIn, and hopefully it helps both of you and audience. But what I'm hearing is, I'm a Pacific Standard, like I'm in Arizona, and I know Gary, you're in Florida. Like people are posting super early. I know that a friend of mine said you should post between like 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm like, do you understand what time that is for us on the West Coast?
It's like 3
I am
a.m.
not up. I am a late poster. But what he did say is once you post something, be monitoring that within that first hour so that you can start jumping on the comments that are coming through, because that does help with the algorithms, and that helps with other people
Absolutely.
seeing it and so forth. So if you're like, I posted and then I left, and then you come back to it, and I'm guilty of that, things happen, or I'm like, I posted, I did my deed for the day, and then I left. But if you kind of are thinking that within that hour, I'm setting myself to go in and just comment and start engaging with people, then it does start showing it to more folks. So there's one strategy tip too.
That's a very good point. And I actually have a LinkedIn coach who helps me with strategy on LinkedIn and posting. And he did mention that as well. He's like, if you post early, then you have the whole day to like look at comments, take care of comments, and respond to them, and put your own comments in, and so you have a whole day to just have that flow of additional content. But if you're posting like at 9 o'clock at night, then then you're going to sleep, and then that post probably might not do as well because you're not monitoring things and you're not responding. That's a good point.
I will say that. So last week I took my daughter, my family, and I went to the farm here, and I ditched my Tisha Talks Live, and I went to the farm with my kids and my husband, and I had a really great photo of me and Eeyore the donkey. And I posted it, and it was late. It was really late. It was 9 o'clock at night, like you said, Jean. And the next morning I was like, I'm sure this posted amazing. And it was like 5 views and 1 person that liked it and commented. And I was like, oh well. Okay.
Yeah.
Next post. Like it just depends.
Something to say about the algorithm. And well, of course, like if you get more comments and you get more likes, then you get more views because it basically accelerates the algorithm. So yeah, so if you're adding in your comments, and I usually try to comment on every single post that I do, I always go in and like leave a comment from myself, and then in addition to responding other people's comments as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So Jean, all this that you're talking about, is this some of the stuff that you do for companies, for businesses? Do you help? I know you probably have a certain type business, which is your bread and butter. What is it? What type of business are you looking for? And what are these are these things the same things that you help with in their business?
Yes, that's a good question. So in terms of my business, it's a digital marketing agency, consultancy, and education company. So it's everything related to digital and social. And then in terms of our clients, we work a lot with tech companies, software, SaaS companies, and we help them with their digital marketing and social media. So basically everything that we talked about today. How do you find customers online? How do you start a conversation on social media? So all of that is what we help with, but more consistently would be like content marketing, social media posting, sales funnels, paid advertising, retargeting campaigns. So all of the entire digital marketing, I guess, approach, if you will. So yep, so that's what we've been doing, and we've been seeing amazing results, especially since COVID started. Like a lot of my clients have just like through the roof. And in my business too, like I've had an amazing probably since the last 6 months or so, had an amazing experience in terms of my own business. So can't complain too much. I know that some people are, a lot of businesses are struggling, but that's the thing with COVID. It's like not all businesses are struggling. Some, like Amazon, is like going through the roof, but so it's not everybody who is seeing that experience.
Amazon and RV sales. I was talking to a guy who said they had like, I don't know, they sold like 1,200 RVs in probably in 30 days, craziness. So yeah, you're right. Not every business is really struggling, but you have to figure out how to, and social media is definitely the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So Jean, yeah, thank you, Jean, for sharing that. And so people that are watching right now, or people that are going to be watching the rerun, because I'm going to have to go back and take notes. I can't do it right now. I can't multitask. Actually, I'm all right at it, but I get distracted easily. But there's going to be a lot of people. Maybe they're entrepreneurs. They've got a small business, one person, two people, smaller businesses. Like, I don't know if that's your perfect customer, but is there something that you can say to them? Is there a reason why they should connect with you? Is there a way that you can add value to their company? Tell us about some of those smaller businesses that might be interested in learning more about what you do.
Oh, absolutely. We work with a lot of small businesses as well.
Okay.
So part of our business is, like I said, an education company is our, I guess, one of the three divisions that we have, and we teach entrepreneurs how to do digital marketing from a DIY approach. So we absolutely work with a lot of startups and up and coming entrepreneurs because, yeah, they might be solo or they might have one person, but they still need to be doing marketing and they still need to be on social. So we help them with that by just educating them on how to do it themselves. So.
Mm-hmm. Good.
That's awesome. What would you suggest if they're watching? Do you want them to connect with you?
Absolutely.
Connect on LinkedIn. And what else? Is there anything else? You've got a Facebook, you got business Facebook groups and different things. Try to join those as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say just connect with me on LinkedIn or any other social media platform. I am very active on LinkedIn, and you can just find me by putting in my name, Jean Ginzburg. Also, same thing for pretty much every other social media network. I'm always at Jean Ginzburg. So LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok.
I have a question, and TikTok. Hey, Jean, I have a question you just brought up. So I've had some clients come to me and they said, my name on, let's say, Facebook, my business name is not, I can't get that for Instagram, for my Instagram, I can't get these for all the profiles that I have. I want to ask you about that because that comes up in a question a lot. If they can't get it all, like, do you have any recommendations? Because I'm like, my business is not the same as what it is on Instagram either.
I have had that question too from people I've worked with or entrepreneurs or clients, and I mean, we try to go as close as we can. So I would say like a variation, maybe just like, the name and a number one, or maybe putting a dash in there somewhere where it's like, so I would say those maybe like just very slight variations on how you can. So maybe like if Jean Ginzburg is not available, it would be like Jean Dash Ginzburg, or Jean Ginzburg 1, or Jean Ginzburg something like star or something like that, or influencer.
Okay, just something as close. Yeah, I have Tisha Marie Official, which sounds like big time.
Yeah. So that's a good one too. Or like it would be, ABC Business, maybe something, like you maybe put the word business at the end if it's a business. So yeah, there's a number of ways in how you can stand out, but still make it sound like yourself.
Jean, what I would suggest for you is if you were looking for a name, I would go with Jean Ginzburg 41C. Now, people, you might even ask, like, what in the heck, 41C? Just because that's your football number a long time ago, Gary, that doesn't mean that I like it either. But there's a reason for it. Sure. The 4 stands for I like to post 4 times on Facebook. I like to post 1 time on LinkedIn. And C is for consistency.
I love it.
Hey,
that's awesome.
There you go. Nuggets from Gary.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's what I'm here for. I don't know.
It's unique to you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jean, I know we are wrapping up with our time. So I want to give you an opportunity. You have a book coming out. You're launching your second book. And then again, like, what are some ways people can find you? You mentioned your website. You mentioned LinkedIn. But is there like some special offer that you want to leave us with our guests?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I know we have like a minute left in terms of my book. Yes, it is. It's actually a second edition of my book. I published the book 3 years ago, and now I'm doing a second edition just because everything has changed so much in digital and social, and as it does on a continuous basis. So that's coming out in the beginning of the year, and it's going to be an audiobook as well, which I don't have now in my current book, so I'm going to do an audiobook as part of it. Very excited about that. And then in terms of getting in touch with me, social media, and then if I also have a group coaching program where I teach entrepreneurs how to do digital marketing, and that one is always a $1 trial for the first month. And if you go to dmgroup.online, you can find it. So it's just dmgroup.online for digital marketing group.online.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Gary. Always a pleasure having you as my co-host. Filling in for Nate and Jean. Thank you for all of your nuggets. We'll be posting this replay with some extra nuggets and repurposing the content. So thank you for that tip. Thanks to everyone who tuned in live, and to those of you who will be watching the replay. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody, and happy Friday.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to meet you.
We'll see you guys next Friday.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thanks,